So we have Bruce live in the locker room in Tallahassee celebrating on the field with the Florida State. And I don't know why, but like we were able to run the ball so well in the first half, especially to the left side, and then all of a sudden we started to abandon it. And like I said, there is some inconsistency.
How are they going to approach this game? How are they going to beat this Florida State team?
Well, we're going to break you guys.
Okay, that's it. The show's over.
In the story, we're going to break you guys. Look, and I'm joking, but it's true.
Lord, the climb continues, KB. Oh my God!
I am sweating.
Look at my heart. Look.
You know what? Yeah, I have so much to say. All righty, welcome back to another episode of Sentinel Sideline 365. As always, I am KB, and with me is the old man with his special shades, victory glasses. He's got the whole setup. He does have a better setup than me, but we are here.
I do.
Listen,
that's one thing we do. We tell the truth. It's raw and unfiltered. Some people like it, some don't. But I do have a much better setup. Let the fans vote tonight. Okay. Who has the best studio? He's
already on the roll. So we are here post Florida victory, which is always great to have. We're here on the Tuesday? I forgot. Days of the week are already coming together. Tuesday night. Off a win at Florida and Gainesville. A great win by this team. And with the breaking news announcement that Florida State is back in the top four of the college football playoff. This just got announced, I believe, at 7:30. And that's big news. And I think there was some debate about this, whether or not with Michigan beating Ohio State this weekend, whether or not Florida State would bump up into that spot or not. There was some speculation, of course, on ESPN that, Oregon may overcome Florida State in some way. I didn't think that would happen, but I think this is where it should be. You could make some debate about whether Florida State should have jumped Washington for that third spot. There was some speculation about whether that would happen because Washington has struggled the last 3 weeks. We can't say they haven't. Washington barely pulled out the win against Washington State this weekend in the Apple Cup. The last three, I think there was some statistic about the last 4 or 5 games they've been within a touchdown or something like that. They are struggling right now with their starting quarterback, who's Heisman candidate right now. And you could make the debate that Florida State could have jumped them this past weekend going into Gainesville with a backup quarterback and still covering the spread of that game. But I think altogether, it's good to be back in the playoff picture with a big game this weekend against Louisville. We'll talk. We're going to recap. We'll do a preview show of Louisville on Thursday night. We're going to focus on Gainesville and what we learned out of that game with Tate Rodemaker at quarterback. But you have to be happy. You're back in the playoff picture. You take care of business this weekend, and I believe you're in, no matter what. Now, you can't skate by. You have to play the game. You have to, play the game the right way. You can't win by a field goal. Can't win by a point. But I think if you win this weekend, you win the right way, like you should be in the playoffs, and that's a good feeling to have. What are your thoughts, old man?
Well, I think that's an interesting introduction. It's awfully glad. It's a good week. You beat Florida. We all hate the Gators. I mean, no one hates the Gators more than I do, okay? I've watched the Gator rivalry since the 60s. As a kid, I started listening on an AM transistor radio with an antenna in my bedroom, when I was a kid. There's nothing better than beating the Florida Gators, period, okay? That makes your season. You could, as far as I'm concerned, you could lose every game of the season as long as you beat Florida. So that's big. Now, jumping back into number 4 in the playoffs, that's big. You can't deny that. The question, I think, there's 4 primary Division I teams, okay, that are undefeated, okay? That's it. Those are the top 4.
And then Liberty.
Well, that doesn't count, okay? No disrespect to Liberty, but they don't count at this point. So the top 4 are there. Now, what we do know is Georgia is going to play Alabama. 1 plays number 8. So the playoffs really begin this weekend. Playoffs begin this weekend because next year you're going to have 12 teams in. So look at the 12 teams you have on the board now, KB.
Yeah.
So one's going to play 8, let's say, this weekend. Now, there are people who say, no matter how that game turns out, I think it'll be a fairly close game. I don't think either team's going to blow out the other team.
Yeah.
People say if Georgia loses, they're in anyways. And if Georgia loses, Alabama is probably, are they going to jump? They're going to jump into the top 4.
No, they're not. They're not going to jump.
I know they haven't been playing well. I know they haven't been playing well. I think there are people saying this out there.
Alabama was a 40-yard pass away from being not even the top.
I understand. I understand. Now, one of those, Georgia could lose. Now, if they lose, that's going to joggle things a little bit more. There are people out there, including some FSU media types that have their own shows, that believe, and there's other people out there on Twitter, okay
just say what you want to say.
That believe, I am saying that, I'm getting there, that believe that there is a conspiracy, a conspiracy, alleged conspiracy by ESPN and ABC, their owner, basically to keep Florida State out of the playoffs because the SEC brings bigger numbers, which means bigger revenues, which means bigger ads than the ACC team, even Florida State would bring. All right?
That's
so
not true.
I don't believe that. I don't believe it.
We've seen the numbers, the television numbers. Okay. Florida State is bringing in the best, some of the best TV numbers this year.
Okay, the best for the AC. I don't know.
No, the best in the nation. The best in the nation.
I didn't see any proof of this. I heard people spouting off like we do, opinions. But if they're just going back to the numbers of the ACC contracts versus the SEC, that's the whole thing. But that's the conspiracy theory going around, no matter if Florida State wins out. I don't believe that to be true. I think if Florida State takes care of their business this weekend against Louisville in the ACC championship, I think they're in. I think you would have a hard time explaining to the country that they don't belong in there. There is a clause in the committee that says if there's a significant change in a team, and that change would be Jordan Travis, obviously, that they could use that in their decision making.
Well, they talked about that. They talked about that tonight.
Right.
You want to hear the clip?
Yeah. If you got the clip, run it. Because I didn't hear it.
Yeah. Here's the portion of it.
Okay.
I'll open this up.
Yeah, different team, right? Different team. Jordan Travis, Jake Rodmaker in the game and a half that he's been playing has done well, has kind of managed the game. Trey Benson getting 3 touchdowns during the course of that game, as we talked about last week. It's more than just one player, but obviously they're a different team with them. We'll look forward to talking to you guys.
So I think what he's mentioning here and what Logan Robinson put on Twitter is that he's talking about it managing the game, and it's managing the game and that they have other playmakers. So the loss of Travis is something, but what they showed on Saturday is that they have more than Travis on that team that can do things. And you saw it with Trey Benson going off for 3 touchdowns and making big plays. And that Tate Rodemaker didn't have to be the superstar for them to put 24 points up on Florida on Saturday with one, in the game and a half, right? So I think that is what the committee's seen, is that Travis is a great player, is an elite player within Florida State's offense, but they have other people who can take the ball and do things with it, along with an elite defense from what it looks like right now. So,
well, I think he said that 2 weeks in a row now, that there's more to the team than just one person, and if the team continues to perform, meaning they win, then there's no real good excuse for them to leave them out of the playoffs, okay? And I don't believe that conspiracy theory, which I was just speaking about. So I think that's where we're at. We're in a good position. The playoffs start this weekend for all the top 6 teams, top 6, 7 teams. Ohio State, Oregon is still chasing the field, and they want to put up some. Are they playing? Are they playing this weekend? Who's Oregon playing?
Yeah, Washington.
Okay, they play Washington. That's going to have an effect. And Ohio State plays who?
They play Iowa.
They play Iowa. Okay, so this is the first round of the playoffs. So saddle up and let's see what happens. But we don't have to worry about that. All Florida State has to worry about is what's in front of them, all business, and that is taking down the Louisville Cardinals. And I believe, and we'll do a show on that later this week, I believe they can do that. I don't think Louisville's a big threat, but any football team can beat you if you don't come out there and play properly. And we almost saw that. I thought we were going to see that Saturday against the Gators the way we started.
Yeah, and let's transition right into that now because we want to talk about that game and what we learned on Saturday playing the Gators. So, yeah, like you said, there were some interesting moments in that game on Saturday in Gainesville. And I don't think any of us expect. We both said that we thought that game would be within 6 points, 7 points, right around the spread. No matter what the records are for these teams, that's you said time and time again, it's always a close game. They talked about it on the broadcast that these teams, no matter what they're ranked, these last couple 5-10 matchups have come within that point range. So we expect to be a close game, but it obviously didn't start hot for Florida State. And someone said, we were talking about this online, stuff like that things didn't start so hot because Tate Rodemaker was still learning how to fill out the offense. There were some penalties. I want to step back from that because I've said this all year, but this offense has not come out hot for most of the year, outside maybe the Louisville game or outside the LSU game. I went back and looked for the past, I think, since the Pittsburgh or Wake Forest game, I believe it was. If you look back since the Wake Forest game, I believe, or even the last 4 games, through the last 4 games, and this counts North Alabama, Florida State has only scored 7 points in the first quarter. 7 points in the first quarter over the last 4 games total. Now, the reason why that they haven't lost any of those games is because the defense, I believe, has only given up 13 points in the first quarter over that same deal. The offense wasn't clicking fast, even with Jordan Travis in the game. So this isn't on Tate Rodemaker. This is on play calling, coaching staff. This is on this offense just doesn't start hot to begin the game. And it hasn't been something that's been fixed at this point either. So I think it's just what this team is. For some reason or another, this team doesn't come out of the gate scoring points, and it hasn't bit them in the butt yet because this defense allows them to warm up and get into the foothold of the game. The last time they scored more than 7 points in the quarter was back at Wake Forest when they scored 10, and that was a while ago, guys. That was 5 or 6 games ago. So I don't know if we're going to be able to get back on track with the offense, especially starting a new quarterback right now. But the thing that's counterbalanced that is the ability for this defensive line, the defensive backs, to allow you to figure it out, especially against somewhat okay competition. You're lucky that we're not playing LSU at the back end of the season and having to come back or having to battle that offense again because this offense has not looked in sync. I'll go back again and say, I guess I'll round it out. I don't want to make it all the negatives, but the good thing is that you started slow against Florida, and you were able to still win that game. Throughout 12-0, you have the safety. When that safety happened, I think most people are probably a bit frustrated when Tate kind of doesn't sense the pressure, doesn't throw it away, can't find a man to throw it down to, and he gets sacked and you go down 12-0. And then right after that, it seems you get bailed out because Florida does a trick play. But your defense then makes a big play on that, snuffs it out, doesn't get tricked, sacks them, and that reduces the damage there. Because that could have been potentially a 9-point swing if your defense doesn't play there. And that's how you do score before halftime. So, and you make it a competitive ball game there. But I don't know. Those are my first half kind of thoughts around it. The defense did all they could do to keep the damage as low as possible, right? The offense just did not seem to click. I think it was a lot of the procedural penalties. You're put in first and 20s, long third down conversions that you couldn't get. The run game was slow to get going, and there was a couple of not so great passes here and there. But what were some of your first half thoughts of that game?
Well, I had a KB. I had a full book of notes here,
Okay.
which I'm not gonna take everybody through. I was doing it quarter by quarter.
Yeah.
I really like to look at what a team does with their possessions. So I kind of track that, like game stats, which I guess people can pull out, but I like to have my own notes. I was concerned at the end of the first quarter. You know why? We had the ball one time, KB.
Yes. Yep.
One time. I don't think we've seen that all season.
There was one game where it was like that. I forget
One
which one it
time,
was.
maybe twice. I don't think we've only had the ball one time.
Yeah.
But
the BC game was similar to that, though. When they almost upset us. When they restrict our possessions in that game.
because when we went back, and I went back and looked at the total production for the game, the Gators had the ball 34 minutes and 52 seconds, almost 35 minutes. We had it for 25 minutes.
Yep.
That's 10 minutes difference in possession.
Yep.
Okay. Now, we can say, well, what does it matter? We won. Well, it does matter. Okay. Now, it matters if you're not scoring. Okay. Especially if you only have the ball 25 minutes. So, basically, we looked like hell in the first half. This is my opinion. Okay. I thought I had a note here. Our offensive line has been exposed now in the first 4 possessions. Exposed as being average. I still believe our offensive line, which we are now, 12-0, is average, and we're surviving with it. Okay, we're surviving with it, and it's still a concern to me. And as some people have questioned out there as well, I think maybe you said something. Where the hell is Keon Coleman? Why aren't we getting the ball to a healthy Keon Coleman? Why can't we find every coach I listen to out there, new coaches getting jobs? We got to find out who our playmakers are, and we got to find ways to get them the football in space somehow. Whether it's a short, long, whatever the hell it is, you've got to put the ball into those guys' hands. So at the end of the first quarter, first half, I had concerns for this game. Now, the second half.
Well, let's focus on the first half.
Okay.
You brought up some points there.
Okay.
I think saying the O-line didn't do their job in this game is not fair. They gave
No,
Tate
I didn't
plenty
say.
of time
Wait a
to
minute.
football.
Wait a minute. I didn't say in the game. I said in the first quarter, first half, I had concerns with the O-line, which overall to me is an average O-line.
Okay. Well, I want to.
No, I didn't say the whole game because I haven't gotten to the second half yet.
Well, there's examples of plays like this, like that just got blown. They tried to do these screen plays throughout the game. They just didn't work. I don't see this as being on the offensive line, some of these plays like this. So they try to run, quick. They try to catch the defense.
Well, who's it on? If the play doesn't execute, who's it on? Are you saying the Gator defense was just very, very good, or it was a bad play call? So who are you blaming on the execution
This play is on Trey. Trey needs to just get down. The play
I agree.
Up. He
Don't
runs
run
back
backwards.
yards.
He's
That's
not going to
on Trey.
outrun everybody. He's not going to outrun everybody.
And that is this is a drive killer. It was 2nd and 6, which is manageable.
Right.
He now makes it 3rd and 17. Trey just needs to learn to go down. Great player, but he's trying to make in a game like this where every possession is going to count. He makes this harder than it has to be. This is not on the offensive line. This is not on Tate. This is
okay, but you're cherry picking one play.
I'm not.
Okay, the first.
You're not pointing out any plays though that says the offensive line played bad. You tell me the play and I'll bring it up.
No,
what play did the offensive line?
I'm giving you my feelings about the game. Okay, I'm not here to analyze every play. I'm just giving you my feelings. I was concerned about their play in the first quarter and the first half. I was concerned.
They only had 3 plays, I think, the first quarter. Like here's the screenplay. Here's the screenplay. Let's look at it.
You're right. In the first quarter, it was 3 and out, basically.
So right after this is the screenplay. So once again, this is bad blocking on Morlack's part. Trey, and then Trey messes up by going backwards for 6 yards. After this is the screenplay. Let's watch this because they only had 3 plays on this drive. So you said it was bad in the first quarter. So watch this. Here's the screenplay. They try to get some of this yards back on the screenplay and try to catch them out of zone. But once again, they're only rushing 3 or 4 guys, 3 on the line. They fake the rush. He goes around. It gets blown up. That's not on the line. That's just good defense. They just blew up the play. That's not on the offensive line. So I gotta disagree with you.
Okay, well, let me give you my points of why I felt this way. First possession, 3 and out, punt. Second possession, 3 and out, punt. Third possession, now we're in the second quarter, punt. Fourth possession, quarterback sack, touchback, -2 points there. Okay? The fifth possession, because we got helped along with some stupid Gator penalties, the spitting play, okay, which really helped us out, plus Wilson had a big catch, okay, we score a touchdown. And that was the first good drive we had of the whole half, and we go in with 7 points. That's am I supposed to feel good that we have a dominating offensive line after a half of football like that?
But
tell me I'm wrong. Tell me
I don't
I'm
think
wrong.
the offensive line was the reason we couldn't get more than 10 yards in the first half.
I
think it's play calling.
Okay.
To your point,
well,
where were the targets
play
for
calling?
Keon
You're not
Coleman?
listening to headsets. I can just go by my observations. This is not a dominating offensive line.
But you're not
It's
illustrating
average.
why. Where was
Okay.
the plays where Tate was getting sacked in his face in the first half? I don't understand why you're saying that.
Okay, let's move on.
They ran
Let's
4
go on.
plays for -7 yards, and I showed you where the negative yards came from.
Okay, I'm just saying. I'm giving you my feelings.
But you're not. You're not
Okay,
making
I'm
sense.
giving you my feelings.
You're blaming it on
7 points.
something.
We scored 7 points against a 5-6 Florida Gator team, okay, who's been in
Who do you blame
chaos, and we scored 7 points on. We had 5 possessions
Who do you blame
and scored once.
Who do you blame the delay of games on? Is that on Tate or the offensive line? Who do you blame not getting this fake punt on? This is. I give credit. Mike Norvell in the special
team.
This is a great. Who's this on? Is
special
this on the
teams.
head coach? Is this on the head coach for not getting the play on in time? Is this on the kicker
no.
for not
I don't know
calling the
who
signal?
got blamed. I didn't hear anybody ask about that in the press conference.
But that's on the
Okay.
offensive line.
I didn't say that's the special teams.
But
That's not
exactly,
the offensive
exactly.
line.
You're not
K-
pointing to anything
All right,
that's
KB, let's
saying the
move
offensive
on.
line is not
Let's-
performing well.
KB, the first half with 5 possessions and you score 1 touchdown, helped along by some penalties. I don't see that as really good offensive line play in the first half. And you're down. And you're down 12-7. Is that am I supposed to feel good about that? I wish our viewers, what do you guys think? How many people were satisfied with the offensive line in the first half? Let's move on. Let's go to the second half. KB, let's go to the second half. Now, I think the offensive line starts to wake up in the second half. They start to wake up, okay? And I'm not taking your side now because I have it in my notes.
But you can't.
The first possession of the second half, we get the kick. We take it down. We get a touchdown. 36-yard TD run by Benson. All right? 2 really good passes. One to Wilson, one to Keon. To me, that's the offensive line doing their job on a very good drive. Okay? Now, the next two possessions, we have to punt the ball away. Now we're into the third quarter. Okay? We only had the ball a total of 5 times in the second half. Okay? We get a good run back on the fourth possession by Keon Coleman on a punt, on the punt return. Ja'Kai Douglas makes a tremendous catch for a first down. That guy may have the best hands on this damn team. Okay? He's pretty damn good. And then Keon had a tough ball. I don't.
That was a bad ball.
That was a tough ball.
Are you talking about the one
catch.
in the end zone?
No.
Or the one on the
first
sideline?
and 6.
The one on the sideline?
Yeah.
Above his head?
Yeah, it was above his head.
Yeah.
And then we end up with a field goal, and we're 17 points now. We're finally up in the game, and then the last time, the fifth possession, we get another big Trey Benson run. We We get another big run, and now, so to me, the offensive line picked it up. They were down. I'm sure they got a talking to at halftime, but they picked it up, and we're starting to wear down the depth of the Florida Gators. And I was very proud of this team, much more in the second half than I was in the first half. And I tweeted out in the first half, this does not look like a top 5 team in the country the way they're playing now. I tweeted that out during the game.
Yeah, well, there was definitely struggles in the first half, but like you said, I think the experience and the depth of the offensive line definitely wore on a banged up or on a a less talented defensive line in Florida. And you saw it, like you said, as they needed to close out the game, they're able to lean on Trey Benson and do what he does because he's a very, very talented running back. And this is what you saw last year to end the season with Trey, is these great breaking tackles behind the line of scrimmage. I think his yards after contact was 95. Almost every one of his yards in the Florida game was after contact. Like, he had to break tackles to get them, and that's what he does best, is engaging with tacklers, breaking them, and breaking big runs. And it was impressive to watch him. I was so happy to see him break out again against Florida, because that's what he seems to do. But like you said, he was very patient in the second half, and I think that helped too. He found the hole. He broke through the hole, and his line gave him those creases, even when they were stacking the box, because at some point, I don't think Florida was respecting Tate. Look at how many people they have in the box right here. And, you're in this kind of sort of like a jumbo set where it doesn't look like you are going to pass the ball.
They were pushing Tate to throw the ball. They were pushing him to throw the ball.
This was 3 plays after he got knocked out, I believe. 3 plays after he got knocked out, Tate does an audible at the line, I believe that is, and then he hands it off. So the offensive line was able to find that hole, and then Trey made the most of it, and he was patient. He cut in, cut out, and he closed the game out. Now, to your point, I think there was some missed opportunities by Tate, which need to be addressed. I think one of those plays you pointed out was he overthrew Keon a couple of times. But this is the thing that pisses me off about this team the most part, is that I feel like, and I can't be mad because we're 12-0 now, and I think the offense hasn't been as potent as it should be. You saw some big throw and catches from Tate to Jaheim. I love that they're getting Jaheim involved. Kyle Morlock was basically not relevant, not present in the game.
I don't understand that myself.
I think Jaheim could get more involved. I mean, Keon only has 8 receptions over the past 3 games. 8 receptions, and this includes North Alabama. 8 receptions over the past 3 games, and they didn't even play in the game before that. That's crazy to me. Against Miami, North Alabama, and Florida, I believe it is, that the guy you're probably your top playmaker on your team only has 8 receptions is crazy to me. You would think it would be double that. And he's still, but what he does for you is that he doesn't pout. He doesn't do any crap like that. He gets the ball and he makes plays with it. This was, along with Ja'Kai Douglas's catch, what I think is the play nobody's talking about, which helped to steal that, big conversion, big catch at the big time.
Oh, that was huge.
He only touched the ball 1 time.
Yeah.
But I can't find it, but it was
huge.
It was the kick return by Keon Coleman when he got the ball.
Big play.
He made a 40-yard kick return to set them up, which is great. But it's these kind of plays from Tate that we need to see cleaned up. I know this was pass interference, which is good. I'm trying to find a play that was near the goal line that it could. This score could have been 14 points, I believe, at the end of it, because there were points left on the field. This defense for Florida State totally shut down Florida. Let's leave it at that. The defense for Florida State did everything perfectly in my mind. Gave up a couple here and there big plays. They shut down Ricky Pearsall.
One catch.
Yeah, exactly. Just like they did with
Restrepo. And he got hurt.
That's not an excuse. He was shut down.
No, I'm just saying. He had one catch.
Yeah, he was shut down. They did the same thing with Restrepo at Miami. Their leading receiver got shut down. They shut down Ricky, he only needed 50 yards to be a 1,000-yard receiver this year, and they didn't let him get that on Florida State. Kudos to Renardo, to all, Akeem. Akeem makes a huge play, probably one of the best games of his career as a senior, which they call a roughing the passer, or what unnecessary roughness call, which is BS. And we all know that's BS, which, once again, they give up a touchdown after that deflating play. But after that, they don't give up a much after that play either. The defense comes to play, and once again, they allow this offense to get comfortable in the course of the game. So I can't give enough kudos to the defense and what they did this time around. But I think things like this need to be cleaned up. Here's another ball that Keon, he looks for Keon on this play. This connection between Keon and Tate just doesn't seem to be there. And I get it's going to take a little bit of time, but this is finally a play that they look for Keon. No, this isn't Keon. I think this is it's just a good example that of kind of things were a little bit off with Johnny. Johnny was his main receiver.
Of course.
But these are things that we saw in the Louisville game last year that Tate did so well. Were these quick passes against Louisville? He had the big throw to Johnny Wilson down the sideline in the end zone. He had the fade against Louisville in the end zone. But they did a lot of quick passes with Tate that I didn't see as much in this game. In this game, they tried to roll him out. They did some sideline throws. A lot of the throws seemed to be big. They tried to look for the big throws. I felt too
Why
much.
do you generally roll a quarterback out? I know some of it is just part of the strategy and so on. But sometimes if you're rolling the quarterback out frequently, it's telling you something about your offensive line is having problems. All right? That's all. Now, let me bring this up, KB. I think you made some very good and valid points. I'm concerned that I don't put anything. I was saying all week, everybody's talking about Tate. The whole game's going to be about Tate. Well, the whole game wasn't about Tate. I said all week it's going to be about defense and it's going to be about the offensive line. That's what it was about. It was definitely about the defense. Defense wins big games, period. If your defense shows up, you have a damn good chance of winning a football game if you'll score a few points. We weren't a master on offense in this game. We have a young quarterback. He hasn't played a lot. He doesn't have a lot of experiences. And let me tell you, so Tate was 12 of 25 for 134 yards. That's probably 200 yards short of what Jordan Travis would have put up in that game. Now, I am not going to compare Tate against Jordan Travis. Tate is learning the job. But because you played good defense and because Tate managed the game smartly and didn't turn the ball over once, he didn't fumble the ball, he didn't fumble snaps, he didn't throw any interceptions. He managed the game. A good manager of the game. Benson had 95 yards rushing on 19 carries for 3 touchdowns. Okay? We didn't have a dominating yardage game. Again, I go back to the offensive line. Our team as a total yards for the team, 224. That's probably 150 to 200 yards under our average. Okay?
Yeah.
That's total yards, passing and rushing. Not a big night offensively. Now, don't take me as I'm being critical. I'm just pointing out where I think we have to improve to continue to play in the playoffs.
If you have 200 total yards against Louisville, you're going to lose the game.
This is my point, KB. This is my point. Let me finish my section here. Third down efficiency. What have I been saying after every game, mostly this season? Poor third down efficiency on offense. 4 of 14. 4 of 14. Oh, they got 5 of 14 there. I don't know where everybody's getting their numbers, okay? But I don't care. 4 or 5 of 14, not good enough. Not good enough going into the playoffs. It's good enough to get us there. It may not be good enough to carry us. Penalties was excellent. 5 for 22 yards. That's good discipline. That's being smart. And you know what I like about this team now? We're not doing stupid things. We're not punching people. We're not spitting on people. We're not kicking people on the pile. We're not hitting guys laid out of bounds. Those will kill you, and it added up on the Florida Gators. It added up on them. Time of possession already went through. We were 10 minutes down on that. Johnny Wilson had 6 catches for 64 yards. where Coleman was and the rest of the crew, I'm not sure. But I'm sure Tate is checking probably for 2 receivers, and he's trying to hit one of them. That's probably where his is, and that's where he should be. The rest of the way is not about Tate Rodemaker. If he manages the game and we do better on our offensive line and run the ball better, we're going to beat Louisville and we'll be into the full official playoffs.
Yeah. I think those are all good points. And I think I tweeted something similar the other day, is that, these things, some of these issues preceded Tate, and it's a team issue, and it's something that Norvell has to look at fixing, find ways to get better at. Third down efficiency, you're sub 37% over the last 4 games, and it's been an issue that hasn't been resolved. And as you get to Louisville, and if you make the playoffs, the level of competition goes from B level to A+ level, right? And so you have to be prepared for that. Your level of competition is not going to be Miami and Florida and things like that. It's going to go back up to the potential, all the there's no, I don't believe any elite teams this year. I think the people at the top are great teams, but they're not elite teams. Everyone is beatable this year, in my opinion. Every team, Florida State, Michigan, everybody is beatable this year. As we saw with Ohio State, every team is beatable. But the difference is a lot of these teams at the top, Georgia, Michigan, those teams. Michigan, we know, has a very, very good defense, in my opinion. Georgia, I believe, has another very, very good defense. Washington, they have a good defense with a pretty good offense. I don't really know what to make of them.
But talked about the top 3. They all got good defenses. You don't get there by accident.
And that's what I'm saying, is that if you face either Georgia or Michigan, you are going to have to be clicking on all cylinders offensively, because your defense can only keep you in the game for so long. And that's why I hope some of these things, the third down efficiency has to get better. Your ability to get Keon Coleman involved has to get better. Your ability to run when you need to run, like they did in the fourth quarter, that has to be more consistent in the first half, so you're not playing from behind. If you get down 12, 14, 16 points against Georgia or Michigan, you may not be able to come back from that with a backup quarterback. That's no diss against Tate, but this is a guy that's still trying to adapt to running the offense fully, right, for the first time, and that's not a fair situation for him. You don't have the playmaking ability anymore, Jordan Travis. You can make plays out of nothing. So, we need to see, and we'll talk about it on Thursday, is that we need to see a team that comes out fast and
dominates.
Okay, dominant. That's a buzzword we keep saying. But what I want to see is every play doesn't need to be a 50-yard down the field. Just try to get 5 or 10 yards, like they did against Louisville last year with Tate Rodemaker. Slant passes across the middle. Tate has better weapons this year than he did last year. These guys are going to get open, and that's why I think it has to be on the play calling and the coaching staff to make it, to maybe not dumb down the offense, but simplify it. Make it so that guys aren't running 15, 25-yard routes down the seam or on a vertical route that are tougher plays to make for a quarterback trying to figure it out still. But let's make plays over the middle. Let's look for the tight ends more. Maybe we just need to make it a little bit less complex. And I don't know if that's possible at this point, but that's what it seems to me, is that we seem to be looking for the home run ball a little bit too much. And that's what strains the offensive line, because they have to protect the quarterback longer instead of him trying to get rid of the ball within the first second and a half.
Well, I think David Delgado says it right. He's got a cannon for the iron. Cut him loose in 3-second drops. You can hit. This goes back. There should be guys that are open, and I think he needs to get rid of the ball in 3.5 seconds. I really do. And if he's only checking on 2 receivers out there, fine. That's good for me. But we must put up more than 224 total yards.
Yeah, I think no one.
That's not that could get you beat. Okay,
that will get you beat.
Because your defense, as you said, KB, can only hold up so long. Most defenses, when they're really good, will pull your ass out in a close game. They'll be able to get off the field and get you back the ball in the final seconds of a game. But these next games, Louisville and on, are going to be close. There are not going to be any blowouts in here, and we must be able to have better possession time of the ball, better first down, better third down efficiency, and the defense must continue to play rugged. And let me say this about our defense. I think this was a close game. It's just 24-15. I mean, this game, I was concerned until
this could have easily been more than that, though.
No,
Florida State left a lot of points on the field.
Well, could have, would have, should have,
but it
type
wasn't
of thing.
It wasn't.
Okay, the thing is, I'm very proud of how this defense has come together. But I'm very proud of how the coaches are rotating guys through, especially up front. Those guys are wearing down the opposing offensive line. When you can still bring in 3 to 4 guys occasionally, give other guys a rest to get their legs back, that's a big deal. Jared Verse had his best game that I've seen him. When he powered and pushed that offensive tackle all the way into the quarterback, that's a highlight tape right there. Yeah. That is huge. I mean, that's unbelievable. That guy weighs over 300 pounds, that offensive tackle. That's embarrassing. That is embarrassing for 76 of the Gators. Great play by Verse. Farmer. Who else?
Malcolm Ray played well.
Malcolm Ray
played. Patrick Payton. Yeah.
Payton played well. Fisk. This offensive line this whole defensive line, I mean, is really good. And I'm excited to watch them play. All right. And offensive, Louisville's going to have their hands tied with them. And they're going to try to get rid of the ball quickly. So there'll be some quick routes. We can't give them much buffer on the sides. But we'll talk about that later in the week.
Yeah,
let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
You got anything else on the game?
Well, I was going to say, Corey Hall says, pass pro was decent against the Gators. They only got us on 1-0 blitz. That Tate held on to the ball too long. I agree. I think that's part of his processing thing. I'm going to show this sequence. I thought
he's a little slow getting back to me when I see his footwork.
Processing the field.
It could be processing because he hasn't been out there. Okay.
But this is, I think, his best sequence of the game. This was, once again, 9 minutes left in the third quarter. You're still trailing. These 2 plays back-to-back, I believe, were his 2 best. Once again, they're bringing a little bit of pressure in his face. 4 down, blitz one of the guys off the edge. He gets right through, but once again, he finds Johnny, who's open. Once again, it's good recognition. You're getting blitz, pressure in your face. Find Johnny. Great. He's open. You deliver the ball. Because once again, you see 63 gets beat right off the corner on that blitz. Sort of delays it, but he finds Johnny, which is great. Quick recognition of the blitz, find your open man, deliver. Now this is what needs to be cleaned up for Saturday against Louisville.
There's his parents, I think.
yeah. But this is where it could have been. This is where I say we left points on the field because once again, look, you have Keon and you have Johnny at the top. You have basically one-on-one coverage with those 2 guys at the top. This is what you want. First and goal at the 6. You have the guys up top that you want. Perfect play call and a tie.
Yeah,
he had it.
Well, that's okay, but
that's the thing that needs to be cleaned up. Jordan Travis delivers that. That's the difference right now. That's 7 points with Jordan Travis. That's what we're missing.
You're not going to clean up a young quarterback in one game.
No, but I'm saying this is what you have to clean up.
Of course, it's a bad throw.
And you kick a field goal on this.
Yeah,
this
he
drive.
knows
you
it.
Kick a field goal on this drive.
He knows it. He knows. Yeah. I missed a touchdown there. So what I want to tell everybody, and I'll say this again on Thursday, let's take the pressure off Tate Rodemaker and place it on our defense, place it on our offensive line, and that's what's going to win any games going forward. Tate Rodemaker did what he did best, managed the game. He didn't put up any big numbers, but he didn't screw up royally either.
No, I would agree with you. But at some point, he is going to have to make plays. And we discussed it. We texted a little bit after the game.
Yes, we did.
We said, at some point, he has to carry the football. How many times did we use the RPO and he handed it off? And then as soon as Brock Glenn comes in, I think he audibled and he made it into a running play and he finally carried the ball. Like, it took Brock Glenn coming in to finally have the quarterback take the ball and run with it. Like, how many times did Tate, give it to the running back, they weren't even protecting the backside anymore because they didn't respect Tate.
I'm not sure. We don't know, KB, what he only ran one time and he got drilled, okay, and the penalty on the Gators, I think. But we don't know what he was told. by Norvell.
It's
Maybe
RPO,
Norvell
it's
said, "Listen, though, would it surprise you if Norvell said we're not going to run you much? I don't want you running the ball unless it's wide open because we can't afford to go down another quarterback."
But Brock Glenn did right after.
No,
Brock Glenn literally ran right
Brock
after.
Glenn, but okay. Fair.
I don't think it's not a coach's call.
Fair enough. What I'm saying, though, we don't know what that game plan was. However, here's what I said to you, I think, during the game or after the game or whatever, is the Florida Gators defense was not respecting their defensive ends and linebackers were not respecting the run from the quarterback. They just weren't. They just stopped. So even if he'd have done it a couple more times, he had some open room to go.
Yes.
And I don't know if it was him. I don't know if it was he was being told, don't do it unless it's really clear. We don't know that. We don't know.
Look, for example, on
But again, KB, was the question asked during the post-game presser? No question on that. No question on that. That's a great question. We're debating it here. Why don't we ask that?
I don't know. This is one sort of example of it. But like you said, look how far this guy cheats. He doesn't. I don't believe he even looks at the quarterback. If the quarterback,
no, he's not respecting it.
He's just
right
fully
there.
committing. He's just fully committing to the running back.
Well, if you go back, Tate can't even see that guy. His head is totally turned away on that
if
play.
It's a fake. If it's a fake, though,
okay.
he runs. He runs for it free because that guy is not respecting him to carry the ball at all.
The other thing I don't see in CFB, not just with our quarterbacks, but CFB in general, is the quarterback fakes are horrible most of the time. Most of the quarterback fakes are not very good on when they bootleg and run out the play. See, just run.
Yeah.
It's
a little hitch on it. There's a little hitch on it.
It's not well trained anymore, in my opinion. Not what it used to be.
This doesn't seem like a.
You know how many guys you can freeze by him thinking the quarterback's going to run? You will freeze the defensive end because it's his responsibility for containment.
19 just totally blitzes down on him right here. He just totally follows him across, and the play gets blown up. But there's no one on the backside. If Tate nicely fakes that ball off to him, it rolls to the backside. I think he gets easily 5 to 10 yards on this play. So like you said, there's no one out here, and this guy blitzes up. This guy follows right on the court. So and then Tate never kept it the entire game. So
we'll talk about it Thursday. We'll talk about Thursday of what the quarterback needs to do. But I wasn't disappointed in Tate's play.
Like you said, he did enough. He took care of the ball. He didn't throw any dumb picks, and he let special teams pin them back, let the defense do what they do best. Like you said, kept them in the game, and then towards the end of the game, he made some big throws to Ja'Kai Douglas, like you said, made a big grab over the middle, made that great throw to Johnny Wilson on the sideline. So like you said, when it really counted, Tate made the big throws, and that's what you wanted to see. And he then he was able to lean in the running game. So like you said, Tate managed the game.
And our hats off to the defense. They played lights out. Special teams played very well. Unfortunately, they had the fake punt brought back.
Yeah.
That could be on what ran out of the clock ran off. I mean, that's too bad. That was a great call and a great execution, and it was wasted.
Yeah, absolutely. That was unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. But we move on. A win is a win. A win over the Gators is always big for the season. You beat Miami. You beat Florida. You win the state title yet again. Discounting everything else, those are big for FSU fans, period. Okay? So the rest is going to be gravy here. And we'll talk about that on Thursday.
Yeah. So we'll be doing our Louisville preview show and talk about the matchups there, which, Louisville lost to Kentucky this weekend, which is a little bit of a surprise and certainly didn't help Florida State out with the rankings differential there. But once again, I think if Florida State comes out, does their job, and does it, puts a stamp on that game the right way, like they're more than capable of doing, you should be able to get into the playoffs without an issue.
Let me say this about referees. I'm not big on criticizing referees, okay? You know that. I know that. I've put that out several times when fans get annoyed by the refs. There's always going to be some calls that may or may not go your way. Look at the Ohio State-Michigan game. It was a huge call in the end zone. I mean, that was huge.
Yeah.
But the Florida State play where we got called for roughing the passer, that was ridiculous call. That was a very bad call by the refs. Norvell let him know it in the game, and I hope Norvell sent in a report on that play. That was the call I objected to, and I think it was a very, right there, inaccurate call. He couldn't have taken him down any gentler, basically. He even let up. He even let up on the play to show I'm not trying to do harm here, and they called him for excessive. That is ridiculous by an ACC ref. Not that that matters, but we should report that we don't want that guy in the games going forward this season. And Norvell let him know that, and I'm glad he did. Would you agree with my assessment?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that was an unfortunate play because, like you said, that goes from a field goal and in 3 points to then going to a touchdown. So things that can affect the bottom line, and also it affects the way sometimes defensive players plays because he goes, I just made a hell of a play. What more do I have to do to avoid a penalty in that situation? Because, like you said, it seemed like solid technique, and he makes a great play.
Yeah,
and then that makes the defensive player kind of think, what more do I have to do? Like, how much do I have to let up, or how much do I have to do to avoid a penalty when I make what I think is the perfect tackle on this guy? So I totally agree. It was unfathomable that they made that call, and I'm glad that Norvell in the game, because sometimes you don't see him get overly animated at the referees and stuff like that, which I can respect. But I'm glad that he let those guys have it during the course of the game, on the sidelines. As you can see, I think it's here. You can see him giving them the business, as they would say, on the sidelines, which they deserve. And your team wants to see that, especially on a play like that.
They want to. Well,
your team respects you defending them. He doesn't want the players to do it. He doesn't want the players to do it.
Norvell's not a super emotional guy, but he was there, and he should be. Your players want to see you fighting for them when they make good plays, and telling the player, keep doing that. And that's what he should be, because the ref was clearly wrong in this play, and it should have been reported. And and you have to report that. If you don't report it, then no one's ever going to take you seriously. The best thing about college football is no head coach has ever been thrown out of a game that I'm aware of. Ever.
I wouldn't put money on that.
I wouldn't say ever. You never say ever. But you know what? You can get if you did that in baseball, you're gone. If you did that in basketball, you're gone. If you did that in soccer, you're long gone. In football, you can pretty much say what you want and get it off your chest.
Yeah,
all right.
B. Riley says the explanation that Norvell got was he got him high. However, they didn't call targeting, which is, like you said, reviewable. Instead, called unnecessary roughness, which is compounded there. Yeah, you're right.
B. Riley's right. It's a bad call. However, the rest of the calls of the game I thought were okay. I didn't have any other problems. And it sounds biased as hell, but I thought the game was called pretty good.
We can debate about that all night, but
some guys are going to debate everything that goes wrong with Florida State. We're going to debate. I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah. But once again,
okay.
I
want to win by points, not referees.
Yeah, well, when referees affect the scoreboard like they did, But overall, once again, I'll wrap it up by saying, I had some concerns about the defense coming into the year. They've continued to impress me on Saturday night. This defensive line is the best I think we've seen in a while, and the depth is doing the work. Fabian Lovett, I think, looks 10 times
looks better
than last year, and I think it's because of the guys around him. When you have, and I think there's sometimes the negative connotation that if there's too many talented bodies in the room, how am I going to shine? You're seeing it with Fisk and Lovett and Ray and Farmer and these guys. It's not that you have talented guys who are going to take the shine away from you. It actually gives you the ability to get those one-on-ones and get those and have more like if I want more talented guys around me, because one, I can come in fresh when I need to and show off the best of my abilities. I don't have to play 70 snaps a game and be totally worn out when I come in. I can give my very best for every rep that I'm in. And that is what this team has finally built on the defensive line, is they've built quality depth through recruiting, through the portal, both sides. And when guys come in, they're fresh, they're highly talented, and they have the ability to make game-changing plays. And it's amazing to see. And that's what we need to do at all positions. Linebacker, I look at the impact. We're so lucky this year, and I don't want to jinx anything, but that Bethune, Deloach, Lundy, those guys have stayed healthy because we have young guys behind them. And we have talented guys, but they're young and they're inexperienced. Imagine if we had the depth that we have on defensive line and edge at linebacker. This team only gets even better with that. So I hope, once again, that we build that depth at linebacker, at defensive back, and other places, because we see the impact that the defensive line has and at edge. And we see the impact that our linebackers have as well, but we need to build that quality depth behind those guys, because as we lose Deloach to the draft or eligibility, as we lose Lundy and the Bethune to eligibility, we need that backup depth in case things happen, injuries, heaven forbid. But it's great to see what quality depth can do to a team, because we haven't had it at that position in quite a while. So
well, I think and I felt so good when Deloach made that final interception, sealed it. I mean, I wasn't clear in my mind. I felt good, but when he made that interception with 1:33 left, it was great. It was great. Now,
especially him making that play is.
Let's balance this a little bit. Obviously, the Gators had a backup quarterback too. Yeah. All right. And Mr. Brown, I think, as I tweeted out, is more of a baseball player than he is a football player. He's, a good enough backup maybe, or to be on the team. He was 9 of 16 for 86 yards with 1 INT. I mean, he's not having a big night. He didn't run the ball effectively. I mean, their offense was not that great, even though they outgained us total team yards with 232. So, I mean, offensively, neither team really put out hard. The bottom line, FSU defense wins this game, and we move on. That's the bottom line.
And I think he gave his best effort. That guy made a couple of big throws in the first half.
But he's not.
No, he's not going to be there.
He's not their starting quarterback.
But once again, the defense did a great job of limiting his playmaking ability with his legs. They didn't give up the 50-yard run.
Right.
He played pretty good against Missouri last year on the road. He made some big plays with his legs last week.
He ran the ball. Ran the ball.
And that's what we were concerned about, that he could potentially do against Florida State, which this defense did not allow. They made him have to throw the ball. And that's what we learned was not his strongest suit. And especially since with that banged up offensive line of Florida, the defensive line for Florida State just abused them. I mean, on plays like this, just abused them. They got worn down. The UF offensive line did their best, but when it came down to when it mattered the most, guys are tired. First, Farmer, Peyton, they came alive. Fisk, those guys came alive and just ate them alive, and this guy couldn't do anything. The guy could not do it. Look how fresh Burr sits. He's running around the entire line. He's fresh legs in the fourth quarter of a tight ball game.
He doesn't have to play 50 snaps. No. He can play 30 snaps. That's a big difference. When you get that break, when you get that blow, and you can go out for a few plays and then come back, it's huge.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the game. Look how far they're pushing these, and then Deloach gets the pick.
Wow.
So, it was a culmination of those things. Those guys are banged up on UF. They're
and a smart play by Deloach. He goes down. He doesn't try to make a touchdown, get the ball popped up, and then the Gators make some goofy ass play like Alabama did.
Yeah.
At the Hail Mary to win the game against Auburn. Yeah. Auburn, unbelievable. How Auburn lost that game to Alabama. They rushed, I think, 2. I thought I saw 3. Some people said they only rushed 2 guys, and those guys weren't even rushing. They were just kind of dancing with the offensive lineman. Quarterback, what's his name, Milrose or whatever his name is. He sat back there and just waited, and then threw it. Yep. It was horrible defense. Horrible. Yep. And they lost that game, the Iron Bowl. I was shocked. I was just shocked.
That's a good point too. We get Darrell Jackson back after the ACC championship, so bowl game or playoffs. Yeah. You get that added depth to his talented body coming in for Fisk, and those. It's And that's a good thing to have for next year. It sucks he couldn't play this year, but having that guy come back next year with losing Fisk, and he's been checked in. You've seen him. He's locked in. He's practicing. He wants to be with this team.
He knows his opportunity's coming, and it's coming real quick. So
he's going to be a big part of this team next year.
All right. Before we end tonight, there are a few other odds and ends, okay? I've got a couple, and you may have a couple. First of all, I thought it was very interesting. Texas A&M has made their hire as a head coach. Everybody should know by now, Mike Elko out of Duke. I think it's a good choice. Mike Elko has done. He was a defensive coordinator, assistant defensive. Was he defensive coordinator or assistant defensive coach there?
He was defensive coordinator. At
okay,
Texas A&M.
At A&M just a couple of seasons ago. He gets the Duke job. He's over at Duke. I thought he did a masterful job playing with a lot less resources. I think would be the answer, and not being able to get the best of the litter. But he did good. That Duke team always played well, and I think he's going to be a good choice. I listened to his intro comments. Very serious, but he gets it. He said this, we want people to buy into the A&M culture first and then worry about being a first-round draft choice second, okay? But he's saying we're going to go out and get the best guys we can who want to be first-round choices and make them to first-round choices, because that is the process. That's the process, and that's what these kids want. But he also talked about NIL. You can see, and again, I'm not telling anybody new at this point, this thing, I'm waiting for the day the NFL starts kicking money down to help these teams out, develop players.
These teams don't need help. Texas A&M doesn't need help with NIL.
No, but I'm saying across the country. I'm not talking about
but the big programs don't need it. They have it.
Okay, let me move on. Also going to be very, very busy here in the next week or two. The portal is opened up already. We're seeing players jumping in. Some of them look interesting. So,
How about this guy?
Two Kansas State quarterbacks both went into the portal.
How about this guy?
TVD goes into the portal.
Florida State fans, we picking up TVD?
No. Is he salvageable? No, he don't want to come in as backup. You're going to have to say you got a chance to compete for the job.
To be fair to him, just to speak on him for a bit, I think he could play very well at the right place. I think he got a very bad situation. Remember, 2 years ago, he was in the Heisman conversation, and then it went off the rails with Cristobal. So I think if he's healthy, he gets in the right fit and scheme for him, he can do very well.
He's
I just
not
think it was
a mobile. He's not that mobile, though, in my opinion. He's more your classic drop-back guy. He's not meeting that new mobility that people want, but it's interesting. Did you see two guys? Did I read that right? Two Kansas State quarterbacks went into the portal? That's unusual.
Only one of them's the one we care about, though.
No, I know.
Will Howard's the only one.
Why the hell would two of them go in?
Well,
I guess
that's
the other
the
guy's
issue.
maybe the fourth baller. I guess.
Remember what I shared with you? In the last 2 years, the average, there's been, 1,200, 1,300 plus people who average going into the portal, players that go into the portal.
I understand.
Only 60% of them actually end up committing somewhere. And then another 4 or 5% go back. They go back to their school.
Right.
A lot of these kids aren't going to find homes, especially the guys who are 2 or 3 stars that aren't playing, Like
Duffy on our team.
No,
what's Duffy going to do?
He'll find a place.
Why? How's he going to find home? He doesn't have any tape.
Because he doesn't have bad tape either. He's a 4-star regarded.
We're not going to talk portal tonight.
He'll find a place. But I'm talking about, like you said, the backup quarterback at Kansas State who may be a 3-star when he went there. A lot of these kids are either going to have to lower their expectations of what their target places. They're not going to go somewhere and start if they don't have the statistics to back it up. They're going to have to go FCS or someplace. But a lot of these kids are not going to find homes. And what I said is the portal about helping players or about helping coaches? Because I think the portal more so helps coaches.
Both.
I don't think it helps many kids. I think it helps the best kids, but it hurts. It hurts the medium to average kid. It hurts them the most because a lot of these kids get churned out of these programs and then they don't find a home, or they have to go to Division II or low FCS, and then they fill in the gaps there. But then you see the success stories like Jared Verse, who was able to go from Albany to Florida State, and Brandon Fisk and stuff like that. So I get there's both ways, but I do believe it helps coaches more than players because so many kids, 40% of them will not find a committed home or in Division I potentially. So I think that's interesting.
Well, I thought that the lead name quarterback coming out of Kansas State, he has pretty good numbers.
Oh, Will Howard, he's very good.
Yeah, he's played a lot. He's played a lot of ball.
Yes,
we haven't heard anything about the Duke quarterback that got injured. You know,
he could go to A&M though. He could go to A&M.
I'm wondering if he will. I don't know. You know, that's really going to tell about Elko whether.
Well, Max Johnson left.
Max Johnson left. They think he may go to North Carolina.
Yeah,
that's what I heard. So this is all for another show. But the portal. Listen, Florida State's football operations, the people you never see, they're working their asses off about this portal thing and really taking a look at kids that they either knew, were in touch with. They're talking to all the on-the-field coaches about what they know. Do they like the kid? What do you guys want to do? I'm sure they have a meeting every day about who's in the portal and what are our needs. What does that sound like? The NFL draft board, same shit. Free agency, we call it the portal.
Yeah. And you won't hear a lot about, Florida State's probably won't happen until after the ACC championship or even the playoffs because, a lot of those players are locked in and they want to figure out. And Florida State's going to have a lot of attrition from their roster due to the NFL or eligibility, stuff like that. So a lot of these kids will be in limbo. So you won't, Florida State's absolutely going to have probably 9, 10, 11 kids go into the portal. You probably know a lot of their names. We'll discuss that another time, but you probably have in your head who those kids are. But, it's going to, you can't be, you can't take it as a offense or like, why are they leaving? They're leaving for, go find hopefully more playing time. But at the same time, as you said, Florida State's coaching staff is doing their diligence on who's already in the portal. And a lot of the best players, I feel, who are like on the fence about it, maybe the backup rotation guys at Georgia, at some of these other schools that haven't gone, they'll keep waiting like Florida State's players are until, after playoffs, stuff like that. And then they'll enter. Or after the SEC championship, stuff like that. So you'll start the cream of the crop. I don't think still hasn't even dropped yet. A lot of the Keon Coleman's and stuff like that from some of these teams will continue to drop over the next couple of weeks, in my opinion. But it's only just begun, like you said. It'll be interesting what happens. Miami's already had 3 or 4 players enter. Chaney, Donald, or I forget his last name. Chaney, the Miami running back who had a really good game against us. He's in the portal now, but he's had some injuries. So. The names are interesting, but you can't overreact to it, especially if you're a Florida State fan. Guys are going to go, and it's going to happen. But we played the portal well. We played the portal well. You got to you trust in this coaching staff. They're going to do the right thing, and fill the right holes. But you have a great recruiting class hopefully coming in too. So that's a big thing. So, any other thoughts on that?
No, I don't. I think it's just going to be some exciting college football. NFL light, as I call it, over, going right through the holidays. All right. I don't know, we don't know behind the scenes what the hell's going on between who's calling who. I don't even know if coaches are supposed to be in contact with these kids now. You know what I mean? But, there's a lot of shenanigans going on. The last thing was the Jim Harbaugh thing, which we talked about some weeks ago. But guy's out for 6 games this year, and his team's going to be in the damn playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bizarre.
Yeah.
This was a bizarre season, very bizarre. But listen, I'm a college football fan, number 1, pro, number 2, but it's kind of assimilating.
Yeah. Some final news that got announced tonight was that Florida State has a program record 25 All-ACC members, which is very impressive, as you can tell by it being a record for FSU. 23 players in total, and I think Brendan puts an interesting note in there that their average time at FSU is 3+ seasons. So it's not a bunch of new transfers, stuff like that. It's a good mixture of guys who have transferred in, been here a couple of years. Guys from high school that have been through the program, like Kalen DeLoach's, players like that. And then you have guys like Keon Coleman, who are the one-time guys who will be getting drafted here in a couple, couple of months. But I think this is a testament to Mike Norvell and what he's done. Great evaluations by the staff in terms of developments and guys they've come along. Like Deloach is a great testament of buying into the vision, working his tail off, and developing as a as a great linebacker, a really, really good linebacker. And then the team's effort or the coaching staff's effort to find the right players like Fisk, like Keon Coleman, like Johnny Wilson, guys like Johnny Wilson that, you weren't sure if other schools wanted him when he was at Arizona State, or, things like that. So I think it's a great testament to what the staff is doing. And kudos to every player on this list. I mean, Keon Coleman, I think they put him as all the ACC receiver, all-purpose player, all kick returner. He was in 3 positions on the all ACC first team. It was incredible. So kudos to all the players on that list. They've worked their tail off.
I got one other thing, KB. Former FSU quarterback Rick Stockstill. Okay, he was one of the early quarterbacks in the Bowden era, and Rick Stockstill got fired at Middle Tennessee State University. If you remember, he went down and beat Miami in Miami.
Oh,
I think a couple seasons ago, and he was there 18 years, and that shows you whether you're a coach or you're in business, you can get let go.
Yep.
Okay, he was 113 wins to 111 losses. Okay, but you got to give the guy credit. He gives credit to the university, to the community for hosting himself and family there for 18 seasons.
That's a hell of a long time.
It is for not getting the pick of the litter kids and developing kids and making them, turning them into men and productive citizens of this country. And so I want to take my hat off because I saw Rick Stockstill play a lot of football games, in person and on TV. And I remember him as being a really true Knoll-blooded guy and a real good character guy. So
and he beat Miami. So he did.
Last year. That's big.
Last year. Yeah.
So I didn't have time to look up if Rick beat the Florida Gators or Miami when he was quarterbacking, but I'm sure he probably had some wins in there. So best of luck to Rick Stockstill.
All right, cool. The last thing I have in college football news, I don't know if you guys saw this game because I think it was a late game, but the sequence, the Colorado State Hawaii game. So turn that off for a second. I want to show you the score.
Sorry, Char.
There's 15 seconds left in this game. This is to go to the playoffs. So in order to go to the playoffs, Hawaii has to win this game. So
Where's Hawaii? In the dark?
They're in the dark, the black, I believe.
The black, yeah, green or whatever the hell it is.
15 seconds left.
Wins coming from the Diamond Head side of the field. Shaker back to
last play.
Going to throw to the sideline. It's caught.
Remember, clock stops on the first down until they mark it.
What a throw! What a catch! Great comeback route by 84.
8 seconds. 8 seconds
left.
This
ball, and here comes the field goal team. They got to get 11. They got to get 7.
Hurry!
Clock's going to run.
4 seconds.
They have to clock the ball or snap it. Matt Shipley. The kick is up.
It's good.
That's crazy.
Isn't that career high 52 yards
on a hurried field goal?
He
didn't.
I'm surprised. See pressure? That's pressure.
Didn't Colorado State have a timeout to burn? I guess not. To call timeout.
Why would Colorado State call a timeout?
Freeze the kicker. You mean? Yeah, that's right. That's right, because the clock was running out.
The clock was running out.
Yeah,
Look at him running out there.
Yeah.
It
wow,
was crazy.
That is crazy. Hey, where is Char's comment that we took down? Let's put her comment.
I love this place so much.
Yeah, that is unbelievable. Boy, is that pressure, huh?
That's great.
If we get into the national championship against Michigan, then we automatically champions because in 2 or 3 years they will strip them of the title for cheating. That's a good comment. That's a good comment to end tonight on.
That's a very good comment right there. So thanks y'all for joining us tonight. Thursday, We'll probably be doing our Louisville preview show, so make sure you set a notification for that. We'll be breaking down that matchup and what to expect from there, and then give our picks for the weekend for all the conference championship games. So some of those will have some implications on this weekend on potentially if Florida State, if they win, could they move up to the 3 spot, 2 spot, and how that may play out. Because I want
to go back and before Thursday, I'm going to go back and watch that Louisville Kentucky game. That's going to tell us a lot. Because they wanted to win that. It's a state rivalry game. They came up short.
Yeah,
but I think if we look at that, you're going to learn a lot about this team we're going to face.
Yeah, so we'll show some clips on there, break it down, and give our preview picks for the weekend. So be sure to set the notification, like the video, share it with a friend, and we will see you all on Thursday. Thank you all for your comments, questions. We appreciate you all coming by. And we'll see you Thursday. Have a great rest of your week. See you Thursday. Take care. And as always,
hey, hit that like, subscribe, and whatever bells there are there. We appreciate it. We never asked for it, but we appreciate it. If you do that, it helps us a little bit. Thank you.
All right. Take care, y'all. Have a great one. And we'll see you Thursday. Have a good one.